Hey everybody, what's going on? It is James here with Crypto Common Sense, aka Three Peaks Trading. And in this video, I want to do a very quick update on Bitcoin. I shot a video back on July 2nd. So I went ahead and pulled that last video up. And in that video, I talked about, the total market cap versus QQQ looked like it might want to pull back to this level of support around 3.9 billion. And we fast forward to today, 3 days later, and we can see that's exactly what it did. It came down and tapped that line right around 3.9 billion. So even though it's scary, to watch your asset, your investment drop in value, and it has dropped significantly over the last few days, that is scary, but you have to recall that corrections are part of a normal, healthy market. And so while again, I want to stress that I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know what the future holds. From a TA standpoint, this is a very normal, healthy move in the market. So we can see total market cap, again, coming back down to retest the top of that range that lasts about 2 years. If we jump over to a chart of Bitcoin versus the QQQ, okay, we can see that this one's also coming down and testing these old range highs. This range was a little bit smaller. It lasted from December of last year to, about February, so only a couple of months. So I'm a little bit less confident in this range holding. We'll have to kind of wait and see. I might want to fall out through the bottom of that, maybe come back down to these levels back here. But the fact that it's testing that old range high and then, at least trying to leave behind this tail here, that's a potentially bullish sign for Bitcoin versus the QQQ. So even though it fell out of this, range, which is not great, coming back down to that area is not all bad. And also, if you're looking at Fibonacci levels of that move, it's really coming back down to that 61.8, 78.6, which is often referred to as the golden pocket or the golden reload zone. Okay, so something to keep in mind. If we look at a Bitcoin chart itself, this is a daily Bitcoin chart. So first things first, it looks a little bit, scary because it's underneath the 200 moving average, and we really don't want to see that on a Bitcoin chart versus US dollars. But you also have to remember that it's not the end of the world necessarily. There are times, for example, here in 2021 where it fell under the 200 and still had a really big move after that. And there's also times like in 2019 where it fell under, had the big move up, and then finally, a few months later, finished this disbelief phase. So, don't love it. I don't think it's what bulls really want to see falling under that. But if they can reclaim it, it may not be as big of a deal as what it first appears. If we jump over to a weekly chart, now this one's really interesting. I talked about this in one of the previous videos, maybe the last one, maybe the one before that, I don't know. But I talked about how early in my trade career, I would often get sucked into these types of patterns because they're double top patterns. And so it would break this neckline, and the quote unquote TA books say it would break the neckline, it's confirmed and you should short it and all this stuff. But in reality, what happens a lot of times with these quote unquote double tops is they actually end up becoming expanding ranges. And they use the liquidity, they go down and they trap bears, and they use that liquidity to actually go higher. So I can't say for sure that's what's happening, but when I sat down today and looked at this and saw this tail starting to form, I was like, today is Friday, the last day of the week, and suddenly it's pulling back inside of this range and trying to leave a tail behind. So it got a little bit of a stink to it. Is this a trap? I don't know, but it is still actually a range on a weekly chart versus US dollars. So when I look at the fact that total market cap is coming back down to an area of support, and Bitcoin versus QQQ is coming back down to a minor area of support, and then I look at Bitcoin versus the US dollar, and I see this weekly chart coming back down to the bottom of this range and leaving behind a little bit of a tail. The day isn't closed yet, so we don't know where it's going to end up at. Well, the week's not even closed. I'm thinking stocks, Friday, last day of stocks, but of course in crypto, we have a couple more days left in the week. So those are all interesting things. If this does end up, pulling back and closing back inside that range, again, we can start wondering if maybe this is actually a flag, And of course, again, with a flag, which you usually get as, this move to this move, it's going to be equal to this move over here, which would point Bitcoin up to, $90,000 plus if it plays out that way. So, interesting stuff, right? Well, let's draw it on there real quick to give you an idea. So the one target would actually be up around 102,000 if you're looking at that and viewing that as a flag. So one last thing before I wrap this video up. Somebody asked me, in fact, I've got this question quite a few times over the last several years. People are often confused about how I get these charts like this QQQ versus total market cap. They're not inside of TradingView. So if you're looking for them there, you won't find them. Let me turn all this off for a second. So it's just a clean chart. What you do is you go in here, your symbol search, and you type in anything you want. So for example, Bitcoin USD divided by QQQ, and then you select, what you want to select. In this case, QQQ here, and it'll change it to NASDAQ QQQ, and press enter, and it'll pull up that chart. So I can do that with anything. Like I can do Bitcoin USD versus gold, right? Divided by gold. And now this is a chart of Bitcoin's value versus gold's value. So what this is saying is it takes roughly 24 ounces of gold to buy 1 Bitcoin. Okay. So I've got company on their way over. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video up there. Please remember that I am just some guy sitting in a spare bedroom, which means that nothing in this video is financial advice. You should always go out and do your own due diligence and seek out professional financial advice from a licensed financial advisor before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency, the stock market, precious metals, Forex, or any other tradable assets. As always, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And most importantly, please remember to trade safe.